Welcome to the Center of Influence podcast, the place for breakthrough conversations with experienced business partners like you. It's time to optimize your center of influence. Let's talk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the COI podcast. I am here with John DeFreitas and Mike Thomas from Express Employment, also president of the Central Illinois Customer Service Association, also known as CILSA, and the vice chair of the board for the Salvation Army here in town. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise. So we typically like to start off with kind of, the story of Mike, how you got here, some bumps and bruises along the way, how you got to your role with Express would be fun to hear about, and then maybe we'll dive into a little bit about your community involvement with CILSA and the Salvation Army. But yeah, tell us your story, man.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you. Thanks again for having me. Very excited. How I got to Springfield, so I'm from Southern Illinois, Centralia, a little bitty town, a lot of people don't know about. Previous to 2009, basically throughout my childhood, my teenage years, I just didn't want to grow up. So when a lot of my friends stopped partying and kind of got serious about life, I didn't, obviously took me down some dark roads and some bad decision making, drugs and alcohol, crime. And before I knew it, I just found myself in this never ending kind of cycle of in and out of jail and prison, and just no fun, no way to live, right? Hurting everybody I loved, so just a lot of shame and guilt from kind of living that way. And, I didn't know what to do or how to change because I had got down that path so far. And I found myself back in the penitentiary for the fifth time, as a result of drugs and alcohol and bad decisions. And I remember just feeling so hopeless and helpless. And, at this point, pretty much people were kind of done with me, my family, as much as they loved me, they were just kind of like, what do we do? How do we help this guy?
Right.
Nothing was working. And I remember probably the first time in my whole life, I had said a prayer. I said, God, if you're real, show me you're real. Like I have, I'm kind of at the end of my road here. Right. The thing about it, like I would always get out of, trouble or rehab or whatever with great intentions and motives. Like I'm not an idiot, but I lacked the tools, the resources, sometimes drive to really know how to stay on a good path. So like I might get out and land a job or get a girlfriend or whatever it was at the time. But I was never able to stick to it. So I said, God, if you're real, show me you're real. And through some interesting events, I got involved with the church inside there, started getting some schooling, and things just began to change for me. I started getting some hope, and it came time for me to get out. And I knew that it probably wasn't a good idea to go back home. I had done that a few times. And I learned about a Christian discipleship program here in Springfield. And I had never been to Springfield, knew nobody here, but gosh, when you're at that point in your life, you don't really have much to lose. So I said yes, and I signed up for that and committed to that I was a part of that program for about 8 months. So I came to Springfield and, with an extensive criminal background and kind of being an outsider, employment was not easy.
Right.
So I'm knocking on doors, trying to apply, and that we're going back to 2011 and, paper applications, things like that were still really prevalent. So I remember just going in places and like applying and never hearing back. And so I found my way to the Salvation Army and they gave me my first job. I started working in the warehouse there, just an entry-level warehouse worker for about 5 or 6 months. some things changed, and I was next. As things changed within the Army, I became the production supervisor. So next thing you know, I was really thrust into like this leadership role. I had 5 stores I was responsible for. It varied, but anywhere between 40 and 100 employees.
Wow.
So you got to learn a lot and kind of, get with it pretty fast. In addition to that, so now I have a great support system, a mentor. I'm trying to live for the Lord and make better decisions. Obviously, I'm no longer using drugs or alcohol, so that helps, right? I was just kind of thrust into this leadership role, and it was great. I learned a lot. At that time, the Salvation Army had the adult rehabilitation center. So, I'm meeting people that were, struggling just like I had once struggled, and was really able to not only learn a lot from them, but also I felt like from time to time, instill some hope in some of those guys. Right. And, some of those folks are still friends with me today that I knew from the Salvation Army. So that's how I got to Springfield. Springfield's been great for me. The administration changed with the Salvation Army. So I was, my position was terminated. So I was kind of pushed out of that. I've always stayed connected with the Salvation Army, mainly because they gave me a chance and nobody else would. From there, I went on to retail, got into retail management, worked for a Sprint franchise.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, for almost
Right.
8 years, I guess it was. Learned a lot, met a lot of great people, had a lot of success. God is a big part of my story. As I was in retail management, a lot of the friends I have in the community and the relationships I have today started there. I was a guy working on their phones, fixing their phones for them, taking care of their families, and now, we have this business relationship in the role I'm with now with Express. 5 years ago, I was getting married. My wife and I were having a child. Retail was just eating me alive, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. At this point, whenever you're good at something, right, they try to, oftentimes, organizations will, it can be a curse, right? So now I'm finding myself in Peoria and Champaign and Michigan, and, just being spread pretty thin, and it was hard to manage a wife and a kid. I had 2 older children from a previous relationship. So it was time for a change. And when you're working that many hours, it's hard to find a job. It's hard to have much energy. Thankfully, I have a mentor, and he knew the folks over at Express Employment. And he said, maybe you should talk to Express. And, they're in the people business. They help folks find careers and jobs. I had never heard of Express. So I went and met with them, and like I said, that was 5 years ago, and I love what I do now. I get to help a lot of people, a lot of companies. That's primarily my role with Express is business development. So talking with business owners and trying to help them with their struggles.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you had a mentor that kind of put you down that path to Express. How did that affect your attitude? Like, were you going in just looking for Express to help you find something else, or?
Yeah, no, great question, John. I didn't really know what to expect. I had never heard of Express. I remember getting to the parking lot that morning. I was still employed at Sprint, and they had been good to me. So I knew that I wasn't just going to settle for anything, and I knew that I was going to give them 30 days notice because, in a management role, I had a lot of responsibilities, and I just didn't really want to leave them hanging. I remember Googling Express, and because in my mind, I'm thinking, did my mentor hook me up with a temporary agency? Like, this is weird. I just had no idea what to expect. So I went in with an open mind, and ironically enough, I had met with the owner of the local, of my boss now, and I didn't really know, and I remember that initial meeting was more about helping me think through what I was doing instead of, talking me out of just leaving Sprint. Like, I was earning pretty good. I had been there for a while, and I remember it kind of dawned on me, like, man, this that's different than, maybe a different, sometimes people just want to talk you out of the opportunity and get you to say yes and join their team or whatever, right? But I remember Jim Britton was really talking me through, what could be next, what do you enjoy. So that initial conversation was really just getting to know one another. The next time I came in, it kind of dawned on me, they could be considering me for an internal opportunity here, which, like I said, it's been great, great team. Coming from the retail management and cell phones, I was no longer selling a widget, or a product. It was a more consultative approach, which in the beginning I didn't enjoy, because I was so used to that instant gratification and the sales cycle being pretty short. In this world, the sales cycle can be very long, right? So it was quite an adjustment. But yeah, having a mentor in Tom, not just employment but life in general. I mean, it's so neat just to have somebody that has your best interests in mind and wants to see you succeed, and can give you good advice and talk you down off the ledge sometimes when you're you're being crazy or whatever. So yeah,
we end up talking about mentors a lot on this podcast, just because of our name, the Center of Influence podcast. It's not, some people hear that and they think referral sources. Some people hear that and they think community leaders, and what ends up happening most times in the conversations that we've had with people, that their main center of influence is a mentor. And maybe I think it'd be helpful to explain how you came across your mentor, and maybe an explanation of what they've meant to you in your career.
Yeah, no, that's great. So Tom Hardy is my mentor, and he was so remember I said whenever I was getting out of prison, I had connected with the chaplain there and learned about, it was called Transitional Prison Ministries. Tom was the president of that organization. So he had done, prison ministry for 20 or 30 years, right? So our relationship really began there and has just evolved over the years. He was the best man at my wedding. We still, even, I've been out of prison since 2011 and, kind of on this path, right? But we still, most times we have lunch weekly, we talk a lot of times every day, and it's just somebody to do life with, we all have struggles and shortcomings and, challenges, mental stuff, emotional, whatever it may be, right? Life's hard on your own, and obviously relationship with God is first and at the forefront, but it's often needed to have that tangible face-to-face, somebody that and trust. So for my example, I know there's no doubt that God brought us together, in a roundabout way, a lot of our paths to cross. And yeah, it's just been super beneficial for my development, my growth as an individual, as a professional. Like I said, just somebody to bounce things off of. It helps that he's much older than I am, and has had life experiences and been through things that, I'm going through now or have yet to experience, but I'm able to kind of learn from his experiences. And, he's just a great example of a husband, a man, he still does community service, still tries to have his hand extended for the person that might need a hand up. And that's just a great example for me, coming from where I come from, where, in the old world I lived in, the old lifestyle, you didn't do much for anyone unless you were getting something in return, and it was really about selfishness and what's in it for me kind of mentality. And to shift full circle from that to, just trying to help people because it's the right thing to do, has really been, much easier with somebody that's lived that lifestyle for like I said, a number of years. So,
right.
And, and that's Tom's who I consider my mentor, but gosh, I've been blessed with other people, that I would kind of even put in that same category. Maybe I don't spend as much time with them or glean as much from them, but, even my old boss in the wireless world and cell phone world, Lawrence, just a great example of a man that, loved his wife, does good business, talks about treating people right. And, you know, he really helped shape my thoughts and my mind around sales. You know, so often sales gets this awful connotation around, you know, greasy and kind of used. I don't really want to bash used car salesmen, but sometimes that's what happens, right? Is people think about sales as this nasty word, and he helped me understand that sales is helping people get what they really want. It's taking care of people. Like, you know, you're providing a product or a service or a solution to their problem. And so, yeah, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of men that have went before me and walked alongside me to help me, you know, be the person I am today. So.
Yeah, I was curious when you mentioned when you first started with Express that they talked about walking you through what you wanted to do. Is that something that, you know, from an employee perspective, is that something that Express always does, or are there different circumstances?
Yeah, no, that's really the model is we want to get to know the person. So on the back end, you know, we're fortunate to have a lot of companies that we work with that we know and we continue to get to know and learn about, right? And that helps us as we're meeting job seekers to be able to match the two. But yeah, so the model, the process, if you will, the standard is we're always getting to know our companies and our people better. And it's not just about, you know, throwing a person at a job and hoping that it works out. It's really about vetting both of those parties and trying to make a true match happen because, you know, we spend most of our times at work. Most of our time is spent at work. So why not enjoy it? And that's so foreign to a lot of people where they think job's a grind and it's, you know, it is what it is, but you can really enjoy what you do if you have somebody in your corner that can help you in that regard. So yeah, our process as we're meeting applicants and candidates is, you know, what do you enjoy doing? What do you not like doing? What kind of money do you need to make? You know, all those kinds of things, you know, that help us understand someone's skills, qualities, experience better. That way, you know, we're not wasting their time as we're talking to them about opportunities. So yeah, we spend a lot of time with both the companies we serve and the people we serve, trying to make that a good experience for both parties. You know, we are in the people business. So unfortunately, you know, sometimes people are people and they let us down. But over time, you know, the companies we serve tell us that they do see better candidates because of our process. Often, you know, we're not the only employment agency in Springfield or in the world, you know. So often I get asked that question, you know, what's different from you than ABC company? And I often always revert back to us. It's our process. It's really that people first mentality of wanting to be a good experience for them, you know. So yeah, great question, John. I like that.
How do you feel the the environment, I guess, I don't know if I would say economy, but the environment for jobs are right now? Is it up, down? Is it?
I tell you, it's getting better. You know, we just came off, you know, through the pandemic and everything, just this, it was so competitive. Everyone was kind of competing for the same pool of people, which is never fun, you know, and truth be told, there's just not enough people, you know. Some people will say, well, nobody wants to work. That's just not true. People have to work. There's just literally not enough people. You know, the pandemic, people died. Some people moved away. Some folks found out that they don't have to go on site. They can work from home. You know, they can work for a company on the East Coast here in Springfield, remote. So all these things, right? On top of, you know, if we go back 30, 40, 50 years, households would have 6 to 10 to 12 kids. Now most households are having 2, 3. I mean, rarely you hear about 4 kids, hardly, right? So there's literally just not enough people to keep up with the demands of the companies here locally. You know, it's starting to, we're seeing more and more people, you know, applicant wise, right? And the quality of the individuals is increasing. You know, there for a while, you know, it didn't help that the government was helping people stay home, right? So that played into that. So we've been in a very great spot being in the people business, right? So our services have been in high demand. We've had a lot of success the last 3 years in helping companies find people. You know, often we get lumped into that category of we're a temporary agency. We do everything from temporary kind of 1-day projects all the way to direct placement, with everything from accountants and engineers and executives all the way down to landscapers and general laborers. So we have about 20 recruiters on our team that specialize in a specific space or skill set, if you will. So yeah, I mean, there's still a need for people. There's still a lot of openings. Companies are learning and discovering ways to do more or get the work done with less hands still. Of course, things like automation and technology are also solving some of those problems. So it's a strange time right now. It's certainly slowed down since the new year here locally, as far as the demand for people, I would say. It certainly helps the demand also that there has been some local companies that have made some changes, and there's more people available and skilled people, good people. So that certainly helps with the demands for individuals. But yeah, we were just all competing for that same pool of kind of entry level individuals, whether it's bank tellers or general laborers or production workers. There's only so many of them to go around. So really, then and now, the companies that are able to attract and retain the people, they're paying. It's the ones that are paying the most, right? That's what's important. I mean, we're all kind of feeling it right now with inflation and things being expensive. It's getting hard. So we can't expect individuals to be able to live on minimum wage. It's just not a thing anymore, And then in Illinois, of course, they're helping us kind of adjust, where they're increasing the minimum wage $1 every year. But yeah, kind of right now, the going rate, if you will, for really just an entry level person's somewhere between 15 and 17, even though minimum wage is only 13. So a lot of times that's my role with companies, is helping them understand that, think through that. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a better quality person, but it opens up the number of people we can talk to about your opportunity. All right. If you're paying 13, the pool's this big, and it gets bigger and bigger the more you pay. Again, I can't guarantee quality of individuals, but it opens up the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So are you seeing companies have to make tough choices? So if their entry level people are now 15 to 17, where does that put their current employees? Are they vastly underpaid compared to what market? Are you seeing a lot of market adjustments? Like, what kind of conversations are you having with employers about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of shifting, if you will, a lot of moving around, because to your point, as you pay people come in the door more, the individual that's been there for a number of years didn't start there. Matter of fact, it took them 4 to 5 years to get where that person's at. So now this person, if that company is not able to accommodate them, they're finding an opportunity that will, So yeah, there's a lot of seats being shifted, if you will, locally here. And rightfully so. Again, I mean, people are important, and, it's becoming more challenging to afford things. So we have to adapt and adjust, So the companies that are faster to do that and realize that and accept it are the ones that are, like I said, they're getting their seats filled. They're able to keep up with the production and meet their customers' demands because they have enough hands. So
what's the ideal company that, I guess, customer for you? Is there an industry? Is there is there a certain type of business that you guys look for, certain situation that people seem to reach out to you more often for your help? But
yeah, great question.
And the best.
We work with any and all companies. It's easier to tell you what we don't do. So restaurants is really not. Restaurants, retail, tattoo parlors, gambling joints, liquor stores, those things don't fit for us. We don't do doctors, nurses, or medical. So everything else we specialize in. I have a team, our specialized recruiting team, accounting engineers, finance professionals, CPAs, all that kind of stuff. Even some sales and management in there. I have an administrative team, so receptionists, back office support, those kinds of people, anything kind of white collar administrative. We have a light industrial team, so everything blue collar, production workers, drivers, general laborers, truck helpers. And then we have a skilled trades team. So anything skilled, more so electricians, engineers, welders, HVACs, carpenters. We've recently had them focus on CDL drivers because they're in high demand and short supply.
Oh, yeah.
It's become kind of a skilled thing to find those people. So yeah, we have, we're able to help companies in any of those categories. We're fortunate. Express has been here 40 years in the Springfield market. So we have about 300 companies we serve throughout the 12-month period, and about 100 to 120 we work with consistently. So any given week on contract alone, we have, upwards of 600 people working on contract at companies, in addition to the direct placement we do. One of the most popular programs we have to offer is, it's called evaluation to hire. So it's just like it sounds. It's a predetermined amount of time to where we're the employer of record, where the company gets to experience that person gets to experience that company before an actual hiring decision is made. That evaluation period looks different depending on the company. Some companies' evaluations 90 days, some are 6 months, some even go a year. So it just looks different. Just as popular is the seasonal contract work we do. So some companies recognize, especially in the manufacturing world, they might need 40 people, but they don't need them long term. They only need them for the next season, 3 months, 6 months, whatever that might be. So we recruit around those parameters, and we're letting the applicants know, this is a start date, end date. This, rarely are they going to pull anybody out of this pool to add to their core. It can happen, but this is really the need. So it's good for the individual, it's good for the company. So we're structured where we can help companies with all their hiring needs. We do a lot of, somebody's out on maternity leave or medical leave, and the business needs that person, right? So we're able to fill in short-term stopgap. Sometimes it's referred to, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Can you tell us a little bit about your involvement in SILSA?
Yeah. So the Central Illinois Customer Service Association has been a great organization for us to be a part of, not only at Express, but me individually. It's in its 8th year now as a entity. I've been a part of it for a little bit more than 4 years, I guess. This year, I'm the board president. Our past board president, Lisa Nardi, has done a great job. We have a board of directors, and we have an advisory board that really helps us with ideas and kind of steers us. We do 8 programs a year, roundabout, really just geared towards our members and helping them be successful as they go back to their workplace to serve their customers. So we bring in national keynote speakers from all around the world in partnership with the Capital City Speakers Bureau. And, we might talk to half a dozen speakers, but we really keep in mind our members. And not a speaker may be talented and have a great talk, but it doesn't fit with our organization. So we really keep our members first, and that's what kind of separates us sometimes from different organizations. Is we're 100% volunteer basis. All of our dues and fees go right back into programming. So it's an exciting organization. We have a lot of momentum. We just got up to about 200 members, individual to corporate members, everything from frontline workers to executives and CEOs. We actually have an event coming up on March 10th in partnership with O'Shea Builders. O'Shea is actually hosting us at their O'Shea University. It should be a great time.
Yeah. So what I saw that you guys have a podcast also. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
We have, so we do a video series called Meet the Members, right? So when COVID hit, we're in this weird space of we can't do programs anymore because the world shut down. So we asked our members, hey, we had just collected renewals. So we're like, we'll give you your money back because we can't really do anything. So as a board, we thought, we can surely do something. So that's where the idea came, right? Where Steve Peralta, one of the founding members, and I really just started with a little camcorder and a tripod and would track people down, ask them to meet with us and have some questions. Again, all around getting to know them, and then putting that out on our social channels and our and our website and whatnot. And it's still a thing today. Like people want to do it. They're excited about it. It's been beneficial for us, not only to get to know our members better, right, but also promote their service or product or business to the public as well. In addition, one of our new board members, Andrew Bartlett, who owns Ootbox Media, he also has a podcast. So there's been some crossover there. We really have a strong desire to try to tap into not only national keynote speakers, but also local talent here. Springfield is a great place, as we know, to live and work, but we also have some amazing people with some great stories and passion and expertise here right in our own backyard, from global headquarters here in Springfield, healthcare leader, obviously our state and government sectors as well. So yeah, exciting stuff, man, with the SILSA. So we're excited to see. We have a couple keynotes booked and planned already for this year. A really exciting speaker in May, Stephanie Stuckey from the Stuckey franchise group.
Oh, yeah.
So we're excited about that. So
That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
Good one. Well, it's probably a good time to kind of let people know how they can learn more about not only you and find you, but Express and SILSA also probably makes sense
Yeah.
to share that information.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk with you guys. Yeah, so at Express, we have an app, a website. Our phone number is really probably the easiest, 217-528-3000. Whether you're a business looking to hire, you're an individual curious what could be out there for you as far as a career opportunity, we'd love to talk with you and share with you. Again, we're fortunate to have deep, meaningful relationships, sometimes 20 years or more with some of the leading companies in Sangamon County. So it really gives us that advantage as we're helping individuals find their next career. We're not competing for time. We pick up the phone and call the decision maker at that company, and they meet our candidates because they trust us and we've done business for so long. SILSA, CILCSA-Springfield.com is our website. We're also on Facebook and LinkedIn. We're really proud of our website, so feel free to check that out. It's very cohesive and has different tabs from our events to how to become a member, some spotlights, things like that. So yeah, that's exciting. And then of course, Michael Thomas, I'm on LinkedIn and try to stay fairly active on social media. So
awesome. We'll put links of all your sites and social media pages in the footnotes of the video and the podcast. So thanks
awesome.
for joining us today, Mike. We've had a nice conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys. Keep doing great things.
Yeah, thanks. All right, everyone. Well, this is Nick and John signing off. Mike, thanks again for coming on. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Take care.
Boom.
Yes.